Hi, I'm Benji from Singletrack magazine, and I'm here today to talk you through the Cotic FlareMAX Gen 5. This is the 5th generation FlareMAX from Cotic. It's their short travel trail ripper. 125mm at the back, 120 to 140mm fork up front, 29-inch wheels front and rear. The FlareMAX features those signature steel tubes all over. Okay, the chainstays are aluminium, but the rest is steel. The front end is made from Reynolds 853 and includes Cotic's own rider-tuned Ovalform top tube, as well as a new down tube and the bottom bracket brace. These tubes combine to give Cotic's their particular ride feel. The FlareMAX is Cotic's lightest, shortest travel full suspension bike, and it's designed to be nippy, responsive and fun. Cotic describes the bike's remit as whizzing between the trees, covering long distances, but it's still got your back for a big day in the hills. We reviewed the Generation 4 version last year and can only echo those sentiments. The 125mm of rear travel is engagingly useful, full of feedback, and it gives you just enough get out when things get a bit hectic. Cotic has long been a proponent of decent progressive geometry. Cotic's long shot geometry is as progressive as they come and offers an underlying capability to all its bikes, regardless of travel numbers. We'll go into geometry specifics shortly. And yes, the steel tubed frame really does give a different feel to all the other alloy and carbon frames out there. The best word to describe it is going to be tactile. The FlareMAX can be built up in a few different ways. You can go full on down country and spec 120mm fork and skimpy tyres, or you can whap a burly 130 fork on there, some sticky rubbers for some mini enduro action. Or you could go down the all-rounder route, spec a 130 fork, some fast but capable tyres, and have a really cool trail bike, which is the bike we have here with the 130 helm on the front. Scramble up, rip down, rinse and repeat. All Cotic frames are designed, developed and tested at their Peak District headquarters. Cotic's founder, Si Turner, is the lead designer and engineer. Si was the guy who started Cotic way back in 2003. 20-year anniversary alert! Cotic are more than just Si these days. All Cotic frames are tested by pretty much everyone who works over at Cotic, in conjunction with a select bunch of test riders and brand ambassador type people. One of the key personnel involved with this 5th generation of the new FlareMAX is Cotic's operations manager, Paul Dexter. Explaining his affinity with the Cotic FlareMAX, Paul explains, it's all about the handling. There's less pitch fore and aft on a shorter travel bike like the FlareMAX, so when I move my weight around, it has an immediate effect on what the bike does. I love cleaning techie climbs, and this direct connection to the trail really helps in those situations. My FlareMAX skips down the trail rather than smothering and feeling disconnected, a feeling reminiscent of riding a hardtail, but with more grip and no aches afterwards. Speaking of Paul, the Cane Creek Helm forks, 130mm, spec'd on the trail builds of this fork, are custom tuned for Cotic. Specifically, they are based around a baseline damping profile of Paul. Paul is basically a lighter weight rider who often finds stock tuned forks to be over damped. Cotic's Cane Creek Helm forks have a relatively light damping tune as a base, the idea being that lighter riders can have a decent performing fork and heavier riders can dial on more damping or things like volume spacers if they need to. The Cotic FlareMAX Gen 5 is exclusively made in the UK, up in Scotland, by Cotic collaborators 5 Land Bikes. The experienced crew at 5 Land Bikes up in Scotland manufacture the Reynolds 853 front triangle in small batches. These front triangles are then married to rear ends from Cotic suppliers in Taiwan. Much of the remaining machined parts are made for Cotic by Unite Components and Bare Frame Supplies, both UK operations. Whilst up at 5 Land, all the main tubes of the bike are dip coated in manganese phosphate for corrosion protection before being painted. The graphics are masked and painted, and they're not just stick-on decals, for a seamless, really top quality look. The two colours for the Gen 5 FlareMAX, by the way, are limestone and this teal. The teal option is the best ofs. After 5 bikes have completed their painstaking process and rigorous quality control, the frame parts undergo further checking at Cotic HQ prior to building up into complete bikes. As an added extra, all FlareMAX Gen 5 frames are security data tagged. As Si told us about the new Generation 5 FlareMAX, there's no holy cow geometry changes involved. Long shot geometry was so advanced and ahead of its time, they've just done some tweaking here and there and generally kept it the same as the Gen 4. For the Gen 5 FlareMAX, the bottom bracket's been lowered 4mm for feeling more planted around the corners. Head angle remains the same, 65 to 66, depending on what fork you put on. Shorter seat tubes for more standover. Steeper seat angle for comfy climbing and a bit more dropper insertion. That's especially true on the larger C4 and C5 sizes. The C what now? Like with the Cotic's recently rejigged Rocket Max, Cotic have done away with the traditional small, medium, large 4 sizes, and we now have C sizes in C1 through to C5. This C sizing aims to get more people their perfect fit by reducing the reach depths between sizes to under 20mm. Cotic has also shortened the seat tubes for the C2, C3 and C4 bikes. In practice, this C sizing means you're less likely to drop between sizes, and with these shorter seat tubes, you can maximise your dropper post drop. The Cotic FlareMAX Gen 5 will be available as complete builds from 3599, rolling chassis, which is like a frame set and some bits for 2699. This is the Trail XT kind of build. This one's 4869. And on this one we have XT drivetrain, XT stoppers, Hunt wheels, trail wides, Cane Creek bouncy bits front and rear, excellent rear shock, excellent custom tuned ride fork, Cotic's own dinky 35mm stem and 780 bars, bike yoke droppers, all just really good stuff. So there we have it. That's the Cotic FlareMAX Gen 5. If you pop on our website, there's a fuller feature on the bike on there, and very soon we'll have a review up online too. That's all from me. Bye for now. The FlareMAX is Cotic's lightest balls. But, ooh, manganese phosphate. That's the next line.